Yeah, I'm gonna crack this beer first. Ooh, I hope that gets recorded. That's good stuff.
I'm sure you're happy. Good afternoon, baby girl. How are you today?
I'm doing well, man. Pretty good on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Nice weather.
No, thank you for having me today. I'm really happy to check out your new place and just be able to have this time to talk with you and learn a little more about your stories.
I'm here for it, man. I'm an introvert, so you go ahead and give me all the questions you
Ask
can.
away?
Yeah, because I'm happy to answer, but I'm awful at on the spot.
You're good.
Small talk.
Hey, we're at home. We're drinking some brews. We're chilling. Let's start off. Go ahead and just share your name, your nickname, or your alias, anything you want to be referred to as during the video.
My name is Ivan Badum-Terzic. Just changed it. Somewhat officially. I gotta go to the Social Security office still in August. And do that whole process. But yeah, because I got married back in December.
Wait, you took her name as well?
We combined our names.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So she didn't want to change it, and I didn't care either way. And I was like, well, if we're gonna have a kid soon, then we, for the sake of just consistency, we'll hyphenate it.
Oh, it's sick.
So yeah, so we've been like putting that in all our like credit cards and shit like that so far, but we gotta go to the Social Security office and give them the whole runaround.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it only took us a month to get an appointment. That's pretty good.
That's pretty fast.
For the government.
Yeah, because I remember when one of my friends, she got married, to change her last name, it took her almost 6 months to complete the whole thing.
Yeah, because credit to my wife because she's the responsible one. She looked up basically what the checklist order is, and so we're still at the very earliest stages of that where we have to get the Social Security card changed, and then from there you go through and do all your small stuff, and eventually, yeah, it's a long process. It just takes time because I think a lot of it's just waiting around for paperwork to clear.
For your turn to come up.
Yeah, but hopefully we'll get it done. Most of it, the government one's done by the time our kid's here, so
Nice.
Otherwise it's gonna be a weird birth certificate situation where we gotta.
He still got a few weeks, couple months.
Yeah, about 9 weeks. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Before we get to that part, though, I did want to talk a little bit about your history and kind of like your upbringing. So we've known each other for over 12 years now, actually.
Yeah, because
2014.
when did we rush? 2014.
So 11 years, yeah. But so we first met in fall of 2014 during our pledge meeting because we're both rushing Sigma Chi. And at that point, we were both just kind of like little kids at that point because we were still pretty fresh in college. You rushed because of your interest in wanting to join an organization, your brother?
Yeah, well, so I had been at Cal State Long Beach for 2 years already. So I was more of like a transfer student, I guess, in that sense, where you have guys who have been in college for a couple of years and they transfer from wherever they come from and then they rush. But yeah, so I'd been there and I'd kind of been just. It was kind of weird. I was going through the motions. I didn't really know anybody, obviously, and I was like, well, I can keep kind of doing the same old thing. And then Chris, who had been, I think, there for an issue like 2 years prior to that, because he's on the initial list of the, what's it called?
The founders?
The founders, yeah. So he's like, and I was giving him a hard time about it prior to that. I was teasing him. I was like, this is like white cross, white power group thing you're a part of.
Yeah.
And looking through the Norman Shield and all that. And then he's like, hey, just come to a meeting. So I was like, okay. And then I went. And actually, prior to that, I had met Brad and I think also Jake Cutler. Brad for sure, from what I remember at the Nugget. And we were just having a couple beers and talking, and Jake Fallon, who was my future twin at that point, also showed up there, and I was like, this guy's a lot, but he seems nice.
Hey, the one thing about Jake has been consistent.
Yeah,
He's not changed.
Yeah, so long story short, we got through our rush week and the first pledge meeting and stuff. And yeah, I remember the first meeting still, whatever classroom we were in, I was reading the list of names, like Marvin Flores. Who names a kid Marvin?
Yeah, there are many of us.
So... yeah, that was and there's this kid in crutches over there.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I was in my crutches still. Oh, I completely forgot about that.
And I remembered seeing you, I think at alumni night, in your crutches. And I was like, wow, this guy's a trooper for standing around for 3 hours talking to all these people.
Nothing else to do. Just stand around, make friends. I forgot that I just had my surgery a few months prior. And Cutler was one that recruited me as well. Yeah, good times.
Yep.
One thing I want to ask you. So one thing that I've always thought, because you were the first person that I met that I recall that's last name ended with like C, so Terzic.
I see. Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, am I pronouncing it correctly when I say Terzic, or is it pronounced differently?
Back in the old countries, my dad calls it. It's Terzic.
Terzic.
So usually like the IC is like almost like an ICH.
Okay.
Yeah, and so when you see like a Bogdanovic, it's usually Bogdanovich.
Oh,
Jokic,
yeah.
it's like Nikola Jokic, not Jokic, even though it's spelled the IC. So
Yeah.
yeah. But here we just go by Terzic. It's just
Easier
pretty Americanized. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the old country for real? Like, what's when you refer to old country? What are you referring to?
When I refer to the old country, I refer to like when my dad and uncles refer to, which is like the former Yugoslavia,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where they grew up. And if you ask them where they were born, they would say Yugoslavia, even though it's not Yugoslavia anymore.
Yeah.
But back in the '60s and stuff, which is when they were born, '50s, '60s, it was all one country still,
Mm-hmm.
and not that there wasn't issues, but then it wasn't until like the '90s when I think it broke. I should know this as a Slavic American, but the '90s I want to say is when I think the last major ethnic conflicts were going on in the long history of them, and I think everybody broke up. So, yeah, I mean, but my parents, they're all from Serbia on my dad's side.
Remember you said that your dad's from Serbia and then your mom was from Hungary?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How did they end up meeting?
So my dad's family came here. I think he was 11, so he came pretty early on. And they came over here to the South Bay of Los Angeles, and his oldest brother, I want to say, so he's one of 11, I think, 11 or 10, and his oldest brother sibling was, I think, he must have been like 15, 16, but my dad was about 11.
Mm-hmm.
So that he had more of an Americanized upbringing in a sense, not that they don't go through the same thing like a lot of immigrant kids go through, which is just, from all the way back to like the 1800s, right? So it's like a lot of assimilating, not speaking the language.
Yeah.
You're trying to learn all these school subjects while learning how to speak English and read and write English. And so I guess that we'd have been in like middle school then. I think by the time he got to high school, he was a little bit more assimilated.
Mm-hmm.
My mom, she came in her early 20s. I want to say like 21 or 22, but she came by herself. I feel like I should know more, but she basically came by herself and found a job and like an apartment and stuff, and I think she worked at Macy's, and somehow she knew my dad's oldest brother Steve, or like an acquaintance, and he invited her to like the Terzic family Christmas party. I think it was Thanksgiving, which is when they met.
Mm-hmm.
And I should know, I think that was in the late 80s.
They met at some point. At a party.
Yeah, I have the loose timeline, but I don't know the exact years. And so, yeah, they met at a family party and hit it off. And then I was born in '93. I want to say it was about like 4 or 5 years after that.
Lived happily ever after that.
Yeah, they're still together.
Wait, so I knew your dad had brothers, but I know, were they 11 brothers?
11 siblings. I think
Siblings,
there
gotcha.
was, I think like 6 boys. I mean, I can sit here and go through them all, but
You're good.
Yeah, I don't want to. It's a lot. So I think 5 or 6 boys, and then I think 4 daughters. And they also had a brother who passed away relatively early from cancer. And then both his parents actually died from a drunk driver pretty early. I think he was in his early 20s, and so most of them had kind of moved out, but he was basically like the oldest one living, so he kind of took care of his younger sisters, because it was him and then one more younger brother, and then all the sisters were on the younger side from them. So yeah.
Oh, dang.
But there's a lot of them, and they all ended up having, on average, I think like 3 kids, give or take, and so
Yeah.
big family.
That's sick. Because I remember when I was talking to Chris, your brother, he was... I never realized why this never hit me, but when we were talking about how a lot of like Long Beach students were first generation, I was like, yeah, I'm first generation. He's like, oh, yeah, so am I. And I was like, I didn't put 2 and 2 together that you guys were like the first in your family born in the States.
Yeah, we are, the first Americanized, like Slavic American generation. Yeah, all of us and our cousins, and so Not that like our parents probably could have gone to college because they still would have been of age, but back in like the 70s and 80s, it was like less of a requirement. So
Yeah.
my dad worked as he kind of did odd jobs, but he ended up getting his foot in the door in Northrop as a lower level engineer, and then became like a contracted engineer. So he worked at all like the aerospace companies in the area here, and this was like a big aerospace area, and like from Hawthorne all the way down to like the beach cities and where Northrop is. But even it's still that way because of SpaceX now. It's by Hawthorne and the 105 over there.
Did he go to school back in the old country?
He went to elementary school, yeah, and then I want to say he was probably ending middle school here when he came, and then he did he went to Losinger High School, for those that know where it is. It's one of the more infamous high schools here in the South Bay. My uncles used to joke that if you walked through the Losinger metal detectors and you didn't have a knife, they would give you a knife. So it's fair. And I don't think it's changed that much.
That's comedy.
Yeah, I went to, so I grew up here obviously, and I went to North High, which is pretty close by. But I work in Lawndale, which is I don't work for Losinger's. It's the elementary school district over there is separated from the lower elementary through middle school, and then high school is its own district. But Losinger's part of that district, so I see it all the time.
Gotcha. Dang, so both your parents came here as immigrants, and they kind of just created the American dream?
Yeah, and my mom had gone to college, so she came here with a teaching credential from Hungary.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of it didn't translate over to the California standardized teaching and stuff like that. I think you're aware of that all stuff, and so she actually didn't clear her credential for teaching until I think like 15 years ago, and she actually ended up going to Cal State Long Beach and working in the programs they had over there for people who had like foreign credentials and stuff like that. You can kind of clear them, get them standardized and all that, and so she's now been an art teacher for a while.
What made her want to be a teacher? I feel it's like a very it's a tough job.
I mean, and school over there, from what she told me, was really hard and it was pretty strict. And when she grew up there, again, because she came here later, she grew up under like the lovely Iron Curtain, because Hungary was being ruled by Russia, basically. And so it was, you were learning all about your Hungarian history, but you were also learning a lot of Russian stuff that was mandated, and so she had to learn Russian. My dad, I think also when he was growing up, he learned a little bit, but all the Slavic languages are such a close family that he can understand more or less, well, not like every word, but he can infer and all that when he talks to like, Croatians. And so that kind of thing. So he can, he used to read and write, I'm gonna butcher it, still Cyrillic, the alphabet, the Russian alphabet and stuff like that. So the last time I was in Serbia, when you're driving, you still see that alphabet, and also the more anglicized alphabet and signs.
Is that language like derived from Latin, Greek, or do you know?
That's a very good question. It seems kind of similar, but I don't think it is. It could be from. I think everything comes from Latin at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It sounds very similar. Like unfortunately, I always get asked all the time if I speak it at all or anything like that, and I know like a couple of phrases, and I know all the curse words from both my parents' languages. But that's kind of the extent.
That's funny. I remember I was talking to Oliver, one of the guys from the chapter. His family's from Hungary, and he was telling me that to be able to speak the language of Hungary, you have to use both sides of your brain.
It's very difficult. From what I always asked my parents, like, why didn't you guys teach us? And Hungarian's like a notoriously difficult language, and I think it's harder when your parents speak different languages. Like if they both spoke Spanish, then I would probably have grown up learning Spanish.
Yeah.
But because they didn't, my mom's not just gonna speak to us just in Hungarian, like when my dad's around and all that stuff, and so it's a hard one to learn for sure. And I haven't talked to Oliver a whole lot, but I know Chris talked to him more. But I know Oliver also, I think, went for his like Hungarian citizenship thing, and we did that eventually. And so we were kind of asking him, like, "Do we have to speak it?" He's like, "They made me like say some stuff," and I was like, "Oh shit, we're screwed with that." Can I swear? And I was like, "We're screwed if that happens to us." But so yeah, it's a hard one for sure. And I just know the curse words from driving the car with my mom, and also my grandpa back when we were over there, and so.
Dang. Did you guys go back to Hungary and Serbia a lot?
We went to Hungary a good amount in summers. My mom grew up in the capital, which is Budapest, and then her her grandmother owned a lake house over kind of by the Danube River and stuff. And so because we would have summers off, we would fly over there for a couple weeks at a time, almost every year, and we would go and hang out between their condominium in Budapest, and then also go down to the lake house, which is about like an hour or 2 hours drive. And then it was really nice because it's like very quiet, kind of not like a resort town, but you could ride your bike down the lake and hang out. It was I remember my first trip there. It's everybody can be topless if they want. And so I was like very much a culture shock the first time. And I was like, well, and I was pretty young, so I think I was like 10, 11. I was aware. I was just like, this is different.
What are these feelings I'm having?
Yeah. And so yeah, we went there a lot, and but it was cool. And they had like a restaurant and stuff, and they had that restaurant I remember had a really good like soft serve ice cream like stand next to it, and they had like all kinds of good flavors. And it's a pretty like popular spot these days. I think they do a lot of like yearly music festivals and concerts. And so both my mom's parents have been passed away for a couple of years now, and they still own both of those houses. And so I'm telling my mom, like, you guys, they're figuring out all that stuff between her and her sister. There's just two of them, and so their families are kind of doing that, but they still have it. You guys can, that's like a good, like, you can Airbnb that out and like clear, everything's paid off as far as I know. And so yeah, I haven't been back to, the last time I was back to either country was in I want to say like 2015 or 2016. I told you earlier, my dates are all messed up from COVID, but yeah, it was our families. We'd gone for my dad's side of the families. It was their 50th year anniversary of them coming to America, and so they all organized a big family trip, and we all flew over back to their hometown and called Vršac in Serbia, which is like a village where they grew up. And then they rented out the one hotel in the village, and they had all their family and friends from way back come by, and so that was a fun time. And prior to that, we'd gone to Hungary and hung out there for a little bit.
When you guys were planning this 50th anniversary, who was like the main folks planning it? Was like the siblings, cousins, or like?
Yeah, it was the siblings. I foolishly volunteered to help with like a slideshow, which resulted in me receiving multiple emails of all kinds of pictures from all my relatives to put together. And every time I thought I would be done, another 30 or 40 pictures would come in from somebody, and it was like all kinds of stuff, like many people I didn't know. And I was like I managed to somehow like categorize it by like each family, so then it was mostly so that it was like them, but also some of their favorite memories from their parents and stuff. So like a lot of black and white pictures, but also their current families, so that all the people they hadn't seen or grown up with in many years could see like how they were doing, because not everybody can make it. But yeah, most of the siblings organized it.
Isn't it wild how, like, for example, like my current girlfriend, she has a pretty tight knit family. It's like 1 to 2, 3 aunts, and then they have like 1 or 2 kids. But like whenever I tell about my family, I'm like, yeah, like I have over 15 uncles and aunts on both sides of my parents, and each of them have 3 kids, and that baffles her. Was that ever similar for you and your family?
Kind of, yeah. With Stephanie, we have one family in Colorado. She has one family in Colorado. Her mom's sister. But yeah, her dad has, one living sibling, 2 living siblings, and her mom has 1 sister, and so that's it. And then she's got 2 cousins on her mom's side, and like a couple more on her dad's side, and that's kind of the whole shebang. And yeah, so it's the very first Terzic family Christmas she came to. I tried to like not overwhelm her with everybody. I was like, you're gonna forget names, and she she knew Devin and then a couple more people that she'd seen here and there.
But for you growing up, did you always think it was gonna be normal for people to have like big families like you? Was it kind of a shock when you found out that was kind of unnormal for that?
I don't know if I remember when I found out it wasn't a shock, but yeah, I do remember pretty early being cognizant that it was not everybody's normal family situation, because I had a pretty great childhood growing up from a bigger family, because while they're all kind of in Southern California, nobody's really more than a 2-hour drive. We always had big family holiday parties, and usually like Thanksgiving and Christmas were the big ones. Um, and then we always had like a family reunion around August, September. So it's just nice because you get to hang out, and all of us cousins, as many as there were, we ranged from, I think my eldest cousin at the moment, he might be close to 50. And it just goes all the way down to, I think, my current youngest cousin, I think he's a sophomore in college now. So it's like a good like 20 years span.
Just growing the family.
Yep. But yeah.
When you were growing up, you had a tight knit group of like cousins that you would hang out with, and obviously it was you and your siblings. So was it always you three and then all your cousins kind of playing around, or was it more like there was a section like, all right, the 5 boys that were born within like this age range were gonna hang out, and then the next group that was like born within the next 5 years were hanging out? How was it for y'all?
Yeah, that's pretty close to it. So I'm the oldest of 3 boys, and we're all 2 years apart, so we're relatively close in age. And our closest cousins were Devin's parents, who live in Rancho Santa Margarita, which is like, you know, relatively close. When you're a kid, it feels like forever to drive there on the freeway, right? But it's not that far. And so we'd have like a lot of sleepovers back and forth. But typically, like, it would be us. So he's one of 4, and he's the youngest of 3 boys. But basically, it just defaulted to the oldest. So I would hang out with his oldest brother Nick, and his like their middle kid Jesse, and then Devin and Chris would hang out, and then same with Jonathan. So, but we always just kind of separated when we would hang out. So I didn't really hang out. Like, we were just doing our own thing, and they were doing their own thing. A little bit of sibling bullying going on. But everybody's pretty close now. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, because all 3 of you are pretty different. Like you, Jonathan, and Chris. Because you told me, like, what do you think your personality types are?
I'm very reserved. It's not that I don't have a lot to say, but I think growing up, it's interesting to think about how it panned out. But I think because my dad was, one of so many kids, all him and his siblings are very talkative and will talk your ear off. And I think it's because you kind of had to be growing up to get any kind of thing done for yourself and advocate for yourself. But I think that translated to growing up where he basically just talking all the time and still does. And so it's kind of hard to have a conversation with him. There's not a lot of back and forth, and it's usually dominated by whatever he says or what direction he takes it. So I was always kind of reserved. That's how I am. Chris is more outgoing and more of a speaker and stuff. But I think as I've gotten older, I definitely was like one of the people who had like a big fear of public speaking. From like any kind of thing, like a speech or like getting up on any kind of stage or all that. And so I really, I'd really credit like our fraternity for helping me get more comfortable with that, because you just naturally get used to it. And I don't really think twice about it anymore. I kind of just adopted I'm a very laissez-faire public speaker where it's not that I don't get nerves, but I'm just like, it's gonna turn out how it turns out. And so I gave my best man speech at Chris's wedding. I wasn't really worried about it. I wing a lot of it, but I've written that one out, and so over several nights and several like glasses of whiskey, so that was pretty easy, and I'm just used to it now. To the point where, like, if I have to give a meeting presentation or whatever, I don't really think twice about it. But I know a lot of people struggle with it. Chris kind of naturally was like that, and then Jonathan's more like kind of just reserved also, and then individual. Yeah, we're all like relatively different, which is interesting.
Yeah, I know you said that you're pretty reserved, but I remember you were really athletic. Like, I remember you loved playing volleyball and basketball, right, growing up?
Yeah, I did enjoy sports. Even from like a young age, I was playing like city sports like soccer, basketball, volleyball. And then later into high school and stuff. And then I never was like good like scholarship level athlete. And I remember the first time at the rec playing against other like people on the men's basketball team. I was like, wait a minute, I'm like the shortest guy here. Like I don't have any ball handling skills. Like I always played center growing up, and it was a kind of a rude awakening. But yeah, and so I think being in a team environment is pretty easy. I think when you have like your group of friends that you're with, you're less reserved. But like I think I know when my wife and I first started dating, and she would see me like hang out with everybody. She's like, "You don't like really say a lot." I was like, "Well, I kind of just wait my turn." And it's not that I don't have things to say, but if something's like really important, I'll blurt it out. But yeah, I remember because I was also the risk manager, and so I forgot who told me when we were rushing, but they were like, your time and your chapter meetings is your time, and you can say what's on your mind, relatively on point. But that kind of gave me a little bit more confidence to speak my mind, for better or worse. I definitely rubbed a lot of people the wrong way looking back, and I think I place a lot of pressure on myself as like the risk manager to not.
It was valid
Can
pressure. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. It was definitely valid pressure.
It was a lot of it was like just internal pressure on myself because I was really worried about. I never want to have us like in any kind of headline. Looking back at it, I probably just could have chilled out more and been a little bit more cordial with people. But I think it was a side of me that I didn't really know I had, and I got really passionate about the things I believed in, and it was hard for me to see that other people didn't care as much as I did. And yeah, so I would probably redo some of what I did, but I think for the most part, I got just used to like just finding my voice and then sharing what I had to say, and I tried to like leave behind a blueprint because I think we were still relatively so young that when I took over, the guy who was the RM before me ended up just like leaving the fraternity altogether. He didn't really give me anything. So it was when I started, I was like, okay, and shout out to Brad Jackson and Jay Cutler, who are on my committee, like one of 3 people. And so I was like, we're gonna make like a binder, we're gonna have like a blueprint of stuff, I'm gonna give PowerPoint presentations because we gotta like leave behind something concrete for.
Hey, and you did. You're definitely the voice of reason, because if you think about it, we're all a bunch of 17 to 21-year-old dudes just trying to figure out what we're trying to do in life. Some guys want to have fun and be a little rowdy and just be reckless. Other guys want to be responsible and build something. And trying to meet in the middle can be a challenge sometimes.
Sorry, my wife is here.
Oh, she wants to say hi?
Yeah, you can go.
You can come by. The camera's over there.
Okay,
Don't worry about it.
I don't want to interrupt.
No, you're good. You're chilling. Going through. That's Steph. Sorry, Marissa.
Yeah, so somebody had to be the voice of reason and like the bad cop, for better or worse.
You're good, dude. And I think about that as well sometimes. Whenever I look back, I talked to Jackie about it. I'm like, honestly, I do look back and wish I was more chill as well, and kind of like took the time to just let loose. But I think the internal part of me was like, I can't do that. I cannot just be one of the guys in the basement just messing around doing bananas things.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even the president. You were the president, so it's kind of like it's a hard thing to explain because at the end of the day, some people have like take it seriously, and it's not that tends to not be the popular choice.
Sure, you're telling me, dude.
Yeah, so I think looking back, nothing burned down. Could have been more chill, but I don't know. I think at least some of what I said maybe got through to some people, and so that's probably worth it in the end.
Yeah, and that's all that matters. The chapter is still there, it's still standing, going strong. Jumping gears a little bit, I see that you're wearing a Kings hat. So, did you ever play hockey?
I did not.
Did you ever want to play hockey?
I think so. I didn't really learn to rollerblade. My wife bought me some roller skates, or rollerblades, for my birthday a couple years ago, and I liked it a little bit, but I felt pretty bad, and I sprained my wrist pretty good, and so I've kind of taken a break from that. Now I'm not trying to jeopardize my health for having a newborn coming up. So. But yeah, I did enjoy hockey. I was like a Kings bandwagoner. I didn't really get into like the LA Kings until they started their first cup run. Because growing up, it was like all my sports was just Shaq and Kobe, and then just Kobe, and so I'm the biggest Lakers fan. I like to think that I'm a realistic Lakers fan, and that I understand a lot of the stupid drama that takes place with my team and everything they do wrong, and I definitely understand that they're successful as they are because of where they are, and it's kind of a despite management ownership kind of thing. But yeah, and then so it was that was kind of the tail end of Kobe's career a little bit, And then I started paying attention to hockey, and then the Kings just had like an awesome playoff run. I was like, oh, this is like a fun sport. Well, playoff hockey is, I think, and I'll mandate, like, one of the best sports out there for anybody who enjoys sports, and so that was really cool to see. And then after that, I kind of started paying attention more, and then shortly after that, they won again, and then it's kind of been an interesting ride since then. But I consider myself a real fan now, so I've been sticking with them through some tough times.
Yeah.
Shout out Corey Perry, who they just signed. I almost threw up over. I can't stand that guy, and now he's playing for my team. So.
It's all right. You guys support the team.
Yeah, and I'm married to a Ducks fan now, and so it's going to be a struggle of trying to not divide our household for our kid.
I think Steph's going to win that battle for sure.
Well, they do have the Mighty Ducks, and that's just a hard hurdle to overcome. So, yeah.
What do you think of the Marcus Smart trade or signing?
It's interesting because I really can't stand Boston sports. So, Rajon Rondo kind of convinced me it can be all right. And that dude, like a buzzer beater over the Celtics in Boston, and then helped us. He was, I think, our third best player, and we won it all in the bubble. So, I always kind of liked Marcus Smart's game. I couldn't really like his attitude, but I think he seems to be coming off a pretty rough stretch, with his injury history and stuff. But you know what? Sometimes when I don't think this is going to be a big year for us anyway, but sometimes you need the guys to kind of fill in the margins, and so you get the good veteran players, and we don't need him to score. Like, he kind of was forcing it back when he was on the Celtics and stuff, and so you kind of shoot him out of games, which was nice to watch. But I'm worried about that, and so can't be as bad as Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, dude, we'll see what happens. When they signed Ayton, I was pretty surprised. I mean, I was happy to see that they got a center. That's what Luka wanted. But obviously with them kind of just figuring out what to do right now, yeah, same. I don't have a lot of high hopes, but I do have some hopes.
It's a weird state. I've been on the trade LeBron thing for a couple years now, and now I'm kind of more like that. He does his not yearly, but his every 4-year thing, LeBron thing. He starts creating drama and, tries to get the management to make some moves and all that and mortgage your future, which is like, hey, LeBron's on your team, you mortgage your future and you try to win as much as you can with him, but it often leaves like a struggling situation. So I'm like, if he wants to leave, he can leave. And I thought we were going to trade him before we traded Anthony Davis, but that ended up working out, obviously. So, again, Lakers exceptionalism is, I remember where I was having dinner with the in-laws, and it was like a random Sunday night.
Yeah.
And
the trade
I
happened.
had not been looking at my phone for a couple hours, and then we were leaving, and I look, and my group chat's blowing up, and like, are you seeing this? I'm like, and then I literally like read it, I was like, holy shit. And then my parents were like, is something wrong? And I was like, we just got Luka Doncic. And then we're like, what? Who? And that's I remember just driving home from that from Orange County to our place. I was like, just in disbelief. I was like, this is nuts.
Yeah, I think I was at home too, and I saw that, and I was like, this can't be real. This can't be a real thing. And then I had to like look through online. I was like about to go to bed too, and I'm like, oh, this is a real thing. Like, we actually got Luka, and we lost AD, and I was still in shock for like 2 days.
Yeah,
but here we are now.
It's hard to fight the NBA rigged allegations, especially because they got Cooper
Fly. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It happened with AD when the Lakers got AD, and then the Pelicans got Zion.
Yeah. Was that the following year? I think it was.
Yeah.
The
following year.
Yeah. I mean, that was a more fair trade, at least.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens with the Lakers. Going off of that, you're wearing a Weezer shirt. Is that music related?
Yes.
Okay. I know you're a big fan of music. You play how many instruments?
Just one, really. I started growing up. My mom was very coming from like a European countries. Like, my kids are going to be cultured and they're going to appreciate the orchestra and going to see plays and all this stuff. And so my earliest concerts were like classic musical.
Oh, no way.
Orchestra, yeah. And so Torrance actually has a really nice performing arts center, and so I've been to countless classic music concerts there, and also in the Hollywood Bowl, because there's a shuttle that'll take you up there, which is really nice. That's like my favorite venue now. It's just like outdoor. It's just beautiful. And so, and so I, stemming off that, she was kind of mandating that we learned some kind of instrument. So we all three of us started learning piano,
Is Weezer more orchestra?
No, I mean Weezer's like such a regular band.
I don't really know.
Yeah, 4-piece band. You don't really know.
No, I don't really know.
Oh
I'm sorry.
boy. I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
I'm sorry. I know you guys always talk about them. Hey, buddy.
Yeah, no, I mean they're one of my more favorite bands. Yeah, I've seen them a couple times now. I think I got this on the latest tour we saw them. I don't know, Cat's audio is gonna get all this, but
You're chilling,
he'll
dude.
figure it out.
You're good,
So yeah, we all learned piano. I had a really strict Russian lady teacher, and she kind of took the joy out of learning music for me. So I kind of dwindled off of that. Actually, Jonathan is probably the best piano player out of the three of us. He kind of stuck with it the most. I don't think he really plays anymore. And then I think I was about like 10 or 11, and then we were at another family Christmas party, and Devin and his siblings had gotten instruments, and so his oldest brother was playing the drums, and his middle brother was playing the guitar, and Devin had like a bass guitar, and then I was like naturally like, oh, I'm gonna like hop on that train, and so I like begged my parents for like a guitar, and prior to that I had been doing music in like elementary school, and I had like a little practice pad for like a drum set, and my teacher just wasn't the best either, and so I like to think that it was pretty fun, and I was like, this is just a lot of practice, and I don't have the patience for this. And then eventually my dad found like a Fender P bass on Craigslist that I ended up having for a couple years, and then I eventually just fell out of that too, because got in like high school and sports and girls, and I just didn't care enough. I still enjoyed listening to music, and I was like the hippie kid at my high school. I don't know if you've ever seen a picture of me in high school, but I had very long hair like past my shoulders, and I only like exclusively wore like classic rock band shirts. I think like all my yearbook pictures I'm wearing like a Led Zeppelin, like a Rolling Stone shirt. So I always like enjoyed classical music, but I was very much a snob at that age, and I was like, it's the only good music out there. And all my friends, were listening to like current and like the Black Eyed Peas and like
Justin Timberlake,
all the music is that my wife listens to and like knows, and I really don't know any like the pop songs from that era because I haven't listened to them, and so and then
so you were cultured, that's why.
Yeah, and then eventually I kind of like matured a little bit, and I'm like, okay, I kind of like all kinds of music, and I got pop punk is one of my more favorite bands. I've always, from classic rock, I went to just anything on K Rock, so Chili Peppers, like Weezer, Jimmy Eat World, like all kinds of like alternative music, and that's kind of been my mainstream.
Has there been a band that you haven't seen yet that you want to see?
Yes, I've never seen the Chili Peppers, so them and the Killers are my two white whales that I need to see at some point before they call it quits. And like Complete is like one of my favorite musicians, and it was a big inspiration for me when I got back into playing the bass guitar, which is what I kind of play now. But just very casually. I don't really jam with anybody. I kind of just play for fun. If I put more effort to it, I'd probably get a lot better, but I kind of just like having it as a fun thing to do.
Dude, make it your passion, yeah.
But it is, I do enjoy it, and I do want we've talked about what we kind of want our kid to be into in terms of like how much we're going to push them and that kind of thing. And for me, it would kind of like when I was my mom, I would like them to like learn some kind of musical instrument, but they have to like want to enjoy it. I'm not going to force them to enjoy it like my mom kind of did. And hopefully we can find something that they enjoy, even if it's just like the flute or whatever, and just have musical knowledge, because I can like play pretty decently and like read guitar tabs. I can't really read music. I'm not very like musically literate in terms of like notes and counting and all that, so that's something I'd like to work on eventually, but maybe when I have some downtime. But yeah, I've got too many guitars. And like that'd be kind of fun to learn drums, maybe get an electric drum set. I'm like, I don't have the room for this, nor the time, but
you'll have to get into it.
Hopefully our kid can my like dream is like maybe like want to play the drums or something, be able to jam with regularly. So
keep stuff up all night with all your sounds. That's pretty cool. I mean, it sounds like you have a pretty diverse palette of things that interest you, from sports to music to video games. I mean, we haven't even touched on video games yet. Where'd your love for that come from?
I think probably a lot of people our age, which was the earliest was in. I think the earliest first console we owned as a family was like the Nintendo 64. I remember my buddy, whose house I would go to after school, because he was in walking distance. He had a Super Smash Brothers, and It's like, Mom, we gotta get this. Like, this is the bet. Like, we can all three of us play. Like, I was doing everything I could to sell her, and then, we were pretty lucky the following Christmas we got one, and so that was the earliest thing. And then I had a Nintendo GameCube after that, which I still have all this stuff. Some of it's in the cabinet over there, but I kept it all, and I think sometimes being one of three was kind of difficult because you didn't have even teams and that kind of thing. But we found enough stuff that we could all kind of partake and bond over, and so we were very lucky in that regard in terms of always having some kind of video game hobby. And then later on, I got like a laptop, and I played. My friend got me into vanilla World of Warcraft, and I'm still addicted to that. 14 something years, no longer than that, but I play here and there. I play, and then eventually I got more into computers and building computers. And I think I was a junior in high school when my when I discovered there was like a company that you could just buy a pre-made gaming computer from, and like managed to convince my parents. I was like, if I save up this much, can you guys like throw me a couple $100 and that kind of thing? And so I got one of those, and I could get rid of my terrible HP laptop that I was trying to play games on. And then from there I kind of just as things would go out or need to be replaced, I just kind of figure it out through trial and error.
How did you so you built your own computer, like at what age?
I think I must have been junior in high school, so about like 15, 16, I think. That sounds right. Yeah,
that's pretty interesting because you don't hear. I mean, I personally hear a lot from my friends that they would build their own computers to like play things, but even them building it,
it's a lot more common now. I think
yeah,
I've seen gaming culture kind of go from not like a taboo thing, but like to a more mainstream thing. I feel like when I was in high school, it was pretty much still like a nerd thing, and you kind of didn't really do it if you had friends and that kind of thing. And so now it's a lot. I think kids growing up like want to be like Twitch streamers and all this kinds of stuff, and play video games professionally. And it's kind of interesting because I was telling Devin or Chris, I remember the most I played I think was Modern Warfare 2, first Call of Duty 4, and Modern Warfare 2, and then on Xbox 360. And then for better or worse, I've spent, not just me but Chris also, we spent like over a month of our lives in game time on Modern Warfare 2, because you can look up how much time you played. I was like, jeez, that's a lot. Yeah, so at least like 33 days, but mostly me. And it was almost unhealthy, but I was playing that I think a lot through middle school and stuff. And I remember playing, that was an interesting time in online gaming because there was no filter on anything, and people were very terrible in terms of what they said to each other. And that still exists, but at least there's some kind of moderation for the most part. But I remember playing against older guys who were not good, and these guys suck. I'm like 13, I'm kicking their butts, and I'm just like, and I haven't played those games lately, but I'll try to go back here and there, and I'm like, I'm awful at this stuff. My reflexes have gone down. My game knowledge isn't there, and I'm like, I don't have time to learn all this stuff. And when it hits you, it's kind of a full circle moment. It's like, I'm that older guy now.
Yeah, I'm not that guy. Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, and then so eventually I'm almost exclusively like a computer gamer now, and so I've built mainly a computer for fun, helped my friends build their computers, and I've become the de facto IT guy for my family and friends. So
it's like you're really handy.
In some parts, I think my dad is very like real world handy. Like he used to work as just like on the side gigs as like a contractor and also like a mechanic, and so he always did like any kind of family repair stuff. And he, to his credit, tried to get myself and my brothers all into that, and we just didn't have the interest. Which I kind of regret looking back on now, but I just didn't care as a kid growing up to learn that stuff. But I think that's more practical to have. But who knows, because nowadays everything is more and more technology focused. It's important to be literate in like the computer world and the online world. That's not going away, obviously. And so at least having some kind of knowledge. And I think now with AI, it's kind of, I'm out of my own comfort zone now in terms of what's the future holds. And like, I'm kind of hoping also by having a kid that my wife and I can stay relevant in terms of current affairs. And I always give Zoomers a hard time when I just see them out in public and stuff with their curly hair and like slang and all that stuff. I'm like, what are these guys talking? But we did that too, and so it's hard not to.
It's full circle again.
Yeah, and so it's hard not to feel like old. I don't feel old until I'm around younger people. I don't know if
Mhm.
you've experienced that.
Yeah, I definitely have.
It's hard to describe. But
It's definitely weird whenever you're around them and they use slang that just does not make any sense. Like one of my buddies was telling me about how one of his coworkers, I forgot how old they are, but they're of like the younger generation, and they're telling me about how their younger sibling was telling them like about their slang, and it was like, oh, I'm gonna go to the club later and throw that gat back so that the Rizzler can take it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, gat is basically like they're behind. And
is
then
that how you say it? I thought it was yeah.
sure,
I think you have to throw some.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
there you go. That's how you know I'm of a just different generation. But yeah, that and then like the Rizzler, and I was like, so a guy that's very flirty. So all these things, and I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me. And so now I get why the teachers back then like this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and yeah, I still can't feel like our slang made sense, even to older generations. But again, I could just not know what I'm talking about. But so I work in an elementary school, you know, doing IT, but I'm around, you know, kids from kindergarten through fifth grade, and so I'll overhear stuff in the hallway, and it's pretty funny because I think it's, I mean, usually it's the older grades, like fourth and fifth grade, but they talk like that because they copy what the teenagers are saying,
Yeah.
and so while they kind of are not quite the same generation or a little bit behind, they are copying what their older siblings are saying, all this stuff, and so I'll hear it in the hallway and like all this stuff. I'm like, this is nuts. Like, and then I feel old.
Someone's gonna look back at this podcast and be like, oh, so that's why Grandpa talks that way.
It's crazy. It's yeah. I what's very interesting about it, and so, you know, I studied anthropology. I didn't study IT or anything computer related in college. Part of anthropology, it's like a very multidisciplinary thing, field, and part of it is linguistics. So I had to take like a couple of linguistics courses there to get my degree. And so it's interesting to learn about all these different languages and like how languages come about, how they change, and you know, people who do that full time are a lot more knowledgeable, obviously. But it's very funny because I feel like just looking at it from an outsider's perspective, a lot of their language comes from like the online gaming world or the online world. A lot of their language is shaped by like a lot of their language is shaped by like the Twitch streamers out there and like the people they spend their free time watching and all that stuff. And so and then in turn, because these streamers see that language, they start using it. It just becomes a cycle of that generation's language is now just coming from this online thing, and which is funny because not just their language, but I feel like a lot of their looks, their fashion, it's a lot more global. I think when I went to New Zealand and Australia for the Women's World Cup a couple years ago, and I was just like, you know, just taking in all the sights and stuff between games. It's like they're the same, you know, the generation over there, they dress the same way, they talk the same way, they still, you know, they have accents and stuff, but same haircuts, same goofy haircut, and like fashion and all this stuff. And that's when it kind of hit me that I was like, oh, this is because it's just the online world is so globalized that it's not exclusive to like America anymore. Like, because I remember growing up and going, you know, down to Europe for family vacations and stuff, people still dress differently, and like you could tell you didn't fit in because your fashion wasn't the same, which still, it's like some extent is like that, but I think it's becoming a lot more standardized, for better or worse, across like the country. And especially, I don't know much about Asia, but I feel like a lot of Asia, it's kind of it's hard to go Eastern and Western cultures because they are just so fundamentally different. But in terms of like Western culture, I think it's a lot more standardized as it's ever been.
No, it's definitely valid. I mean, even whenever I go back home to Mexico, it always makes me kind of like and go in awe because they also celebrate Halloween now, whereas before it was like the Day of the Dead where you just would celebrate the family that passed away, but now people go around like getting candy. And so like, yeah, social media has definitely changed a lot of how we've been able to, I guess, understand other cultures because of that global video that we have available to us at any point in time. Like, you can literally look up a festival of a different country, and then you know, like, oh, they do this. It's kind of cool. Let's try it over here. And also, it gives the like folks that have immigrated here a sense of like belonging, because now people are interested in learning about their culture. And so, yeah, I definitely agree that language has been a really big portion of how we've been able to really expand and develop what we have today, which is pretty wild.
Yeah, I'm still on the. I feel like social media is going to do more harm than good when all said and done. But that's just for it's a whole other discussion. But I think it does have its pros, and it is interesting to see people connect. Again, for better or worse, over all these different kinds of passions and topics. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well, definitely don't want to ignore the cat in the room. Who's your little buddy?
This is Mitt, MITT. We adopted him. I think he's about 7 or 8 now. We've had him for about 2.5 years. I grew up with some cats. This is Stephanie's first pet, but yeah, we adopted him from the local Hawthorne SPCA thing, and he's named that because he's very polydactyl. So he's got on his left paw about like 4 or 5 extra toes, all coming from like one big
Oh,
one.
really?
Yeah, so he looks kind of like he's got like a catcher's mitt on, or a baseball mitt. So at first I thought it was like after Mitt Romney or something weird, and I was like, I don't know, we don't even name a cat that, but then I kind of hit me, I was like, oh, it's because he's got all, his hand, it's kind of deformed, but like, and then it's like, his right one's got a couple extra, and each of his back ones have like a couple extra, and so he's very polydactyl, but yeah, he's like I said, I've had a couple cats. He's the last cat I lived with my brother Chris's cat in Long Beach. He was a terror, and
Oh, yeah.
the first day I moved into that house, he threw up on my sheets as I was moving in and all that stuff, and then I realized I wasn't ready to go to bed, and like, oh, sheets are disgusting. And my door had been open, and that was the first night I was there, and I was like, okay, I'm just closing my door from now on when I'm not in there, and that cat would bite you and scratch you just for no reason. And so Chris isn't a very responsible cat. I don't know if he's gonna watch this, but he needs to hear it if I pull him already. He's not he again has a cat, but like with the right pets, I think he's fine. But with that cat, he just enabled very bad behavior, and
Wasn't that guy from like Turkey?
something like that.
The cat was like from like overseas.
Yeah, and then I think the family got stuck over there, and then he found it for free and adopted it. And it was a shitty cat, and so that was my stipulation when we started looking at animals to potentially adopt. And I was like, look, cats are fine. I am more of a dog person. I had a dog for many years, but I was like, realistically, it made more sense to get a cat if we wanted to get something. And so I started looking around, and I told my very sentimental, I was like, don't fall in love with anything. Maybe like you cats there. You can't fall in love at first sight. We're not going home with a cat today, and like all that stuff. And then so they have like a kitten room and all that stuff, and they have like a room where you can just walk in and hang out with cats. But he was like, he happened to be in like one of the cages, and then so I went down and like pet him through the bars, and he was very friendly. Like, oh, he seems cool. And then we left and all that stuff, and we came back at a later date, and then we were like, oh, he's gone. And she had a really hard time with him, and I was like, yeah. But then I asked, I was like, is he still around? Like, oh, he just has a cold, so we'd like go put him in the back. And I was like, oh. Anyway, long story short, so we adopted this guy, and he's been pretty good. I think the problem with cats that I kind of forgot about is that you exist for their
needs.
You're at their leisure, and so it's mealtime around that time of day, it's get very vocal and annoying and difficult, and and then the other times he's just sleeping, he's pretty chill, and so he's pretty good. The gripes I have with him are they could be far worse. Like, I told you that he sleeps through the night, like pretty chill cat.
Heck yeah. Do you ever I know you're gonna have a child soon, but are there plans to get a dog one day?
Yeah, definitely. That was when we first started dating. Actually,
That was a stipulation.
We talked about deal breakers, and mine was like I used to have a dog. I'm gonna have more dogs in my lifetime, so I need to know that you're okay with that. And for me, it was a serious thing. And then she's like, oh yeah, like I love dogs. She's like, I really need it. I want to be a mom one day. And I was like, oh, this is like a way more serious thing. So, yeah, eventually the goal is to get another one. So we think he was kind of raised around dogs. He's not really phased by them. Maybe also because he spent some time in the pound over there, but he doesn't really have any issues with them. He's kind of like doggish, and I feel like in his behavior because he follows me around and all that stuff. So, yeah.
He's just a happy cat. He's a happy boy.
He's pretty good.
Heck yeah. We brought up your wife, and she actually ran by a couple of times now. How did you guys meet? If you want to that story.
Sure, yeah. So, I can give him before that. I think it was 2021, the end of 2021, I want to say. Some of us went up to Big Bear for New Year's Eve and stuff like that, and got on a cab and that whole thing. And then I remember, like when New Year's Eve rolled around, we was like kissing their partner and all that stuff. I'm like, I'm kind of like sick of being single. And I went through a series of years where I was pretty depressed and like down. And I knew it was wrong. I had to like work on myself basically, and so I had gotten to the point where I was like pretty like happy with myself and like at peace with everything, that I felt like I could like bring in like another person in my life and like not go up. I think too many people kind of like rush in their relationships for different reasons and kind of have their own stuff to work on, and that kind of just bleeds out into this conflict between everybody. But so I was just kind of at that point, I'm like, okay, this is like, I'm in a good spot mentally, financially, physically. Like I can try to find somebody, so I'm gonna put myself out there. And so that was my private New Year's resolution to myself. I was like, I'm not gonna be single next time on New Year's Eve, hopefully. And so then I went and I got back on the apps, as many of us do these days. I remember when Tinder first came out, I was on there a little bit. I want to say that was like 2016, maybe a little bit earlier than that.
Yeah, I think when we were in college, it was like just coming out.
Yeah, because I remember it was like Tinder. It was a big thing. And because that was the first, not that like online dating wasn't around, but it was like the first like app or whatever.
Yeah.
And, I remember like Yik Yak and stuff like that. And you remember Yik Yak?
Oh, dude, it's still around actually.
I heard it's been a resurgence.
It came back, yeah.
I don't know if that's a good one to have. That one was a lot of bullying going. Because I remember looking at all kinds of Greek stuff, and I was like, if people will suck on here, dude, everybody's mean as shit. Nobody will say this stuff to your face, but they will shit talk you through anonymity all the time.
Yeah, it's keyboard heroes out there.
Yeah, and so. Anyway, I got back on the apps. I had remembered from my first time on Tinder, like, that's probably not a serious one to be on if I'm trying to find a lasting thing, which I was. So that's when I got on Hinge, did the whole profile thing. And then I think right when I got on, that had been around, I think, for a couple of years prior. And I had plans to like get back in the dating scene for a while, and then COVID happened and kind of derailed everybody's life. So that also got postponed. But then I made a profile. I think they had just added the voice memo thing. I'm sure they've had more stuff now, but I was like, oh, that's kind of neat and stuff. So I did all the prompts, and I tried to like make an effort. So many people are just on there and they don't give a shit, and they're just, I don't get it, but live your life. And so I made an effort. When I came across like people I seemed interested in, I tried to like make an effort and like stand out. But everybody knows it's a very different experience if you're, what your gender is going on to online dating.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. It's very, it can be very one-sided for sure.
Yeah, for both ways, which is pretty interesting. I think that it's a larger discussion of why I think so many guys are frustrated. The incel movement and all that, but like, because it's hard to stand out when you're that girl's receiving probably hundreds of messages a week, and you're trying to like, you think you're the best match and all that stuff. So you have to just not be discouraged. But I was on there for I think a whopping like 2.5 weeks before I came across my wife's profile, and this was in early 2022, and again, if my dates are right, and then I remember like seeing her profile and going through it, and I was like, wow, she loves like all this stuff that I love, and she loves like craft beer, and she loves sports and like soccer and all these other hobbies. And then she seems really nice, she's like very cute. So, and I remember I had used, they give you like roses or whatever every week. Yeah. I think I had used my last one for the week, like the day before, and I was like, oh, I really like this girl though. And then I was like, but do I like her enough to spend like the $5 to buy a rose thing? So she my message, and I was like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. So I cheaped out. But I remember like sending her a message, and I told her, I remember she said like beer and pizza is like the way to my heart, and so like I said that too, more or less to her, and then I said I love sports, but I don't know that much about soccer, and she is way more a soccer fan and player than I ever was. So I was like, I just fingers crossed. I remember I think I was on the couch with all the guys at Chris's place, and I remember like telling them, I don't know if I'm the guy that finds the girl that's into sports, you guys are gonna be jealous.
Yeah.
They nonstop talk about sports, and so anyway, but yeah, and then so I think a day later, I got like a notification that she sent me a message back. I remember just like, holy shit,
It's going through.
this is now being very serious. Yeah, and then we just hit it off right away.
What was your first date?
So we hit it off, and we were planning to go on a date, and then I had actually ended up tagging along onto like a couple's trip with Devin and Tori and Nika and Percy to New Orleans later that month in January, I think still. And they just kind of opened it up because they had like the spots available. So I was like, I love it. I would have always want to go to New Orleans. I don't give a shit. I don't really think about it. I don't have any commitments. So it's like I kind of okay to that, and then so we had to wait till that was over, but we were talking a lot, and I remember I was still trying to like, I got my foot in the door, but I was trying to like really like cement, because you just always worry that somebody's gonna ghost you or like, stop talking or whatever, and so I was like, hey, I told her I'm gonna bring you like some hot sauces back, because anybody who knows me knows I love spicy foods and hot sauces for most of the time to my detriment, but I can't help it. I just feel like if I'm not sweating a little bit or like on fire when I'm eating my food, I'm just not living.
You're not feeling it.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe it. To the point where it's like I'll go somewhere and I'll if it's like I'll ask like, how spicy can I get this, and they'll be like, yeah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, but like not white person spicy. Like give me what you want, like, and like I can handle it. Trust me. I know I don't look like you. And so anyway, so I brought it back. I remember the last day there, I was like, okay, I need to set aside some time. So I went to like a hot sauce store there, and they had like all different. It was awesome. It was so cool. It was like down the street from our hotel, and I spent like an hour in there just going through everything and trying everything, and which is probably a bad idea because after a while your taste buds are just toast.
Roasted.
Yeah, so you don't really know if it's good or not. So, I think I must have gotten like 10 bottles of hot sauce. I remember I got her like a mango one that wasn't too spicy. So I gave that to her. But our first date, I drove to her place, and then we were just gonna do like a beach picnic kind of thing, because she lived in El Segundo, and it was like a 5-minute car ride to the beach on that side over there. So we got like a little small like picnics, like charcuterie kind of thing. And I brought some hot sauce, and again to like further cement myself as a standout, I baked some like biscotti, which I think I'm also known for. I don't know if I've ever made it for my friends, but and she is like Italian American, so I was like, I've only ever gotten good feedback from my family. It got to the point where that became, people were expecting it at our family parties, and if I didn't bring it one time, it was like, make sure you bring your biscotti next time and all that stuff. So anyway. So I brought that, and then we just had a nice little picnic on the beach, and we chatted, and we had already like really hit it off, talking on the phone and all that stuff at that point. So I think it had relieved a lot of the nerves that I usually would have had on like a first date, and also she was much more visibly nervous than I was, which helped me be less nervous.
Be in control. I got this.
Yeah. So, and then I think we both didn't really eat that much, and we were still nervous, and so. Watch the sunset, and it was still like end of January, so it's still like decently cold, and we were like bundled up and stuff.
That's
and then,
really cute.
Yeah, and then we went to In-N-Out, which is pretty close by, and we got some food, and we just sat in the parking lot in my car and ate. That was the first and only time I've never finished a double because of my nerves.
Oh, you were that nervous?
Yeah.
Dang, dude.
I know.
That's a good sign, though.
Yeah, and so neither of us finished our burgers, and so I just take it home with me, and then I got home, I was like super hungry, but yeah, so we had a great time, and I kissed her, and then I remember just driving home because I was living in Long Beach, just like, is this real life? Like,
yeah,
it was, I was just like, this is like, everything you hope for. And so I was like, at that point, I kind of already knew. I was like, well, I'm gonna get off the app, and I'm gonna like I'm gonna make it work as much as I can. Like, she might be like dating other people, I don't know, but like
you're committed from the beginning.
Yeah, like this is everything I'm hoping for in a partner.
Damn.
So I got really lucky.
That's super. I didn't know that part of the story. That's really like beautiful.
Yeah. I got it's like rom-com stuff, but not rom-com, like yeah. So I got very like she had been on online dating for some time, and she always says like she kissed a lot of frogs.
Frogs?
Yeah, like when you kiss a frog and it turns into a prince. And, like,
Oh,
she's like, I kiss a lot of frogs, and it's like, I believe that.
Like, oh,
There's some
lovely.
shitty guys out there, yeah. So, she, so we always joke around about who was luckier because I was only on there for a couple weeks and she'd been on there for a couple years, and so.
Oh damn.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, it all worked out.
Yep.
I forgot that you baked. Sorry, jumping back to the baking. I forgot that you baked.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
I think that comes from my mom was a stay-at-home mom for most of her life, so she was always doing everything home related, which involved cooking and baking a lot. And so I ended up being the only one of my siblings that cared enough to be interested in that. And so I learned how to cook and bake from her to some degree. I still think I think I'm pretty solid now, but she's way better than I was. And she learned from her grandfather or her father. He was the big cook and baker in her household. So I just kind of learned from her growing up, but like very basic stuff like chocolate chip cookies, that kind of thing. But I had a love for it, and I have a love for food. It's very important to me to enjoy what you're eating, and so I don't consider myself a foodie. Like I don't go out of my way to like drive somewhere. We are lucky to live enough to like in Southern California. We have all kinds of amazing food, but
Yeah.
I don't find myself going out of the way to go out and sample everything that's out there. But it is nice knowing that I can, if I'm craving something, I can find a really good spot for it somewhere
And make it spicy.
and make it spicy. As I get older, though, it's got to be like a weekend. I can't do the spicy Monday mornings on the toilet anymore at work.
Oh, yeah.
It's too hard.
Definitely burns for sure. Burns your soul.
Yeah, I think there used to be a spot in South Torrance. They've since moved to Long Beach. I think they have like a ghost kitchen over there now, but it's called Pinky's Hot Box, and they had hot Nashville hot chicken, and it was so good. It was kind of expensive, but I remember the hot. Now it's the second hottest thing I ever had, but I've had their hottest sandwich, and I was struggling because usually I can get through it, but I was like halfway through, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this, and I remember just had the worst. And when you go like really hot, you get like the knot. I get the knot in my stomach where it's just like sitting there, and you can feel it kind of go through your intestines and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm in pain, man.
Like
This is hard. Yeah. So I just know it's gonna get worse the next morning. But then since we've been together, she's taken me to Howlin' Ray's, which has a couple locations in LA, and I have had their second hottest hot chicken, and that was an ordeal. But I was a veteran at that point, so I was eating Tums every other bite to kind of prep and stuff. Just wait until after you finish eating. Pro tip: don't eat the Tums after you finish your hot food. That helps you eat it as you're eating your meal, because then you kind of get it all going through at the same time and not. Because when it's already like you're digesting it, the pain's already happening. It's a lot harder than.
How do I feel about that, Ivan? Knowing that I have to be taking like Tums as I'm eating my sandwich.
You don't have to have a lot, but you just like I had like the chewable tablets, so I would have like I'd take one before I started eating the sandwich. About halfway through, I'd have another, and then as I finished, I'd have like one more, and then as needed after that. And kind of just, I find for me it helps to. It still sucks, but again, I can't help myself.
Getting older.
Yeah, that too. I'm a couple years younger than my wife, so we joke that she's a cougar and stuff. So I'm like, is this what it feels like to get old?
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, I was like, I'm starting to it just sucks.
Dude, yeah, no, I feel it. I'm starting to wake up every morning with like, I have to stretch when I get up out of bed.
Yeah, I'm really bad about doing that, but I feel like I really need to build the habits back in my 30s, and I used to have in my 20s, and in the long run, it's going to be a lot better.
You'll be able to run around and play sports with your kids.
Yeah, I think being on the cusp of fatherhood, it's cementing more and more to take better care of myself, or at least like go not the extra mile, but just good habits.
Bro, how does it feel like that you're gonna be a dad?
Well, like I said, that was very important to her.
Yeah.
When we first started dating, and to me, I was kind of like I was open about it. I think for a long time, just looking at the state of the world, I was like, I don't know if that's the right thing to do. But a couple of people I knew started having kids, and I was like, so I started just asking them. Like after the first time we got off the phone, I started just like asking my friends who'd be recently become dads and stuff, and just like it's just what their thought process was. And a lot of time I would hear back, it's just like there's never the perfect time, or there's never gonna be the perfect circumstances. The world's always gonna be shitty to some extent. That's just kind of how it is, unfortunately. And so you just do what you can. And then so I just always kept an open mind, and I promised her if I changed my mind I wouldn't let her know, as hard as it was. But I think all the other part of it was I had never envisioned having like the perfect partner to have a kid with, so I kind of just always assumed that was never going to happen, or that kind of thing. And she definitely like just changed my mind. I was like, yeah, I want to do it. And so it's like, I think I told you before we started, it's just I haven't been able to do a lot, so I'm gonna just being as supportive as I can. I'm not doing the hard work. Like, it's at the end of the day, like, whatever problems or issues I have going on, I'm not like almost 8 months pregnant, so my life is great. So, I'm not worried. I'm strangely not worried about it. I think maybe that'll change once it's real, I guess, for lack of a better term. But I tend to be more optimistic the older I get. I think just from my life circumstances, but I'm just like, well, it's gonna work out, or we're gonna do our best. And sometimes at the end of the day, you can only help what you can help, and everything else is out of your hands. And yeah, so I'm excited. I think I'm looking forward to it. I don't really, all my friends and family don't have kids yet. I'm just not worried about it. We were just living. I think what's nice, I heard somebody else say this, I forgot where, but it's kind of like, it's your chance to kind of do all the things you wish you had as a kid growing up. And it's almost like a do-over, but you have to find the healthy balance of not trying to live through your kid, which I think it probably is pretty hard to do. I'm not, doing that yet, but it's like you have your own vision for them, but you have to find the balance of letting them make their own mistakes and like live their life, But yeah. So we'll see. It's gonna be fun. We're both lucky enough that we can take a couple months off work and be home and kind of go through all that. And I'm on Reddit a lot. Unfortunately, probably not the healthiest thing, but there's like great Reddit for dads who just share their stories and stuff. So I'm always just reading that stuff. I've been reading for a couple of years, but it helps you, I think, stay mindful. Because people have kids from all ages, and so everybody's got like different life experience that they kind of want to share, funny stories or whatever, and like hard stuff. And so it's you kind of just have to like live in the moment and enjoy it, because it's none of it's ever gonna last. Hopefully they do great through school and go to college if they want, and then you're kind of like on your own again. It's just like, which is his own battle, I'm sure. So yeah.
Okay. So do you think once they start growing up, it's going to be your brothers, siblings, your cousins' turn to start planning the family reunions?
I would like that. I think all of us in that first generation, again, we're pretty close. Sometimes it's hard with a big family because you get all kinds of drama. Not that we're not free from that or anything. I purposely just try to stay out of all of it because I don't care enough to... I don't want my extended family to be another source of or headache in my life. Yeah. So I hope so. I think, like I said, we're all close enough that, if I have to be the one that takes the initiative, cool, I'll do it. But, it's I think we have a really unique situation where we all kind of like each other more or less. And so it's fun to have get-togethers and that kind of thing. And I've really enjoyed, I enjoy having like friends over and that kind of thing. And we used to have like a really tiny apartment. So we really were probably the furthest from most people in my group. So it's kind of hard to like get people to find a time and all that stuff. But now that we're able to move into a house and all that, a little bit closer, I want to have like get-togethers and stuff, and eventually it's going to turn to like birthday parties and that kind of thing. And I think I've got some concerns about making parent friends later on, just because you hear all kinds of stories. Because it's like, it happens like where your kid is like best friends with somebody, but that kid's parents suck. What are you going to do with them? And it's like birthday parties, and you just got to suck it up. And so that'd be an interesting battle. But I want to become more of like a host thing, or have people over. Because, for foreseeable future, probably more of a hermit here. So.
Dude, actually, you live a lot closer to me now. You live about half hour, 40 minutes from me now. Because before, I think it was
Yeah,
like close
because
to
I
an
think
hour.
because we were right by LAX,
Yeah.
so I think when you account for the Forever
Traffic.
405 traffic, yeah, that it actually ends up being a decent amount closer. And
Mm-hmm.
we were, I think, close enough to the freeway where it's not too far and you can kind of just get off the freeway. So yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
I know everybody's gonna live their life. I'm gonna try to keep mine as open as I can with my friends and family so that people can come by and hang out and, you know, grill or smoke you something, that kind of thing.
Hey, before you know, we'll be in the backyard making some steaks, making some burgers, and playing some beer die.
I don't know about beer diet. That was never my. That was kind of after I graduated. But yeah, I mean, there's space for a table.
Yeah, I think there's place for like a couple of them. All right, buddy, we're getting close to the end. And one thing that, so like I always tell you, the name of the podcast is Mike Memories. I love giving my guests the opportunity to share one memory or just a couple memories that they want to make sure is recorded so that way it can be shared down the road, or something you just want to share because like it's a happy memory for you so that way you don't forget about it. It can be anything at all for as long as you want to share, and so I definitely want to give you a chance to share one of your most important memories.
There's a lot of good ones. I've been pretty lucky in my life. Well, I'll keep it like Sigma Chi related.
Do your thing.
I remember I saw a couple of our brothers that you already interviewed and stuff, and some sorority sisters. So I remember when Chris had his accident on his motorcycle and stuff, and he was out of commission, for better lack of a term. And then I remember it was like the end of the spring semester kind of, and we had like, I think we were wrapping up Derby days almost, or we had the Delta Zeta Turtle Bowl going on. And I remember we hadn't never won like any sporting events, unfortunately. I think we were the closest in volleyball a couple times, but we never like won it. So I remember we were doing the Turtle Bowl flag football, and like we got a squad together. And so Chris was, he had moved back home at that point, and so I was home with him. And then and we were just like hanging out on the couch or whatever, and he was going through his like rehabbing his leg and all that stuff, and it was a lot of struggles. But I remember we got the back on our Facebook group. I think Walker, somebody posted a picture of everybody like with the trophy and all that, and it just made our day. So yeah, that was a meaningful thing. He started crying, I'm gonna start tearing up, but it was cool. So just like the love,
the brotherly love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always gonna have it. All right, Virgo. You alright?
I'm tearing up now. No, all right.
Yeah, it's alright.
I'm glad I got to sit down and do this because
some good memories.
Yeah, I remember when you talked to me about it initially, and then you were like, you wanted to. I think the goal, eventually was, to visit like nursing homes and that kind of thing, and so I think it's cool because I think a lot of people, especially when you get to that age in life, you kind of like lose people for different reasons. So it's probably nice to share and reminisce and ride that nostalgia wave.
Yeah, dude, everyone has those memories inside of them, but not everyone gets a chance to share it.
Yeah.
And so that's why I really enjoy being able to sit down and like learn. I learned a lot about you today that I didn't know before.
I know. Well, I haven't watched your first episode. You feel like you've gotten more comfortable doing this, or I'm sure there's struggles at the start.
No, I've always done this. People just like learn their stories for fun, but now like I want to make sure that I take a chance to learn and save and preserve their stories so that way they can have it for families. Because this won't be the last time we do this. I mean, we're gonna definitely have an episode where we Stephanie.
Sure, maybe I can have my kid here. My Uncle Marvin.
Yeah, dude. Oh. Damn. Woo! That was damn. Anyways,
yeah,
okay.
We'll see.
But yeah, dude. No, but thank you again for being my guest. Definitely won't be the last time we do this. We'll keep growing and kind of making more memories. And if there's a memory that you come up with down the road that you want to share to have it on here, well, I'll happy to record it.
Sure. There can be some hot ones kind of thing next time. We'll get
It'll
some
be
hot
fun.
Yeah.
We can do that. I actually found out that they sell the box.
Do.
Yeah,
you can buy the set.
I didn't know that. They call it hottiness, or I forgot what the name of it's called, but we have a box at work.
Yeah.
So I'm down to try it.
Let's spice it up.
Here we go.
All right.
Well, till next time.
Alrighty.